Shanti Shanti.
So whatever is spoken of about the Atma, it has to become real of me. Until it becomes real of me, how can I say that I have known Atma? Atma is not something else that the car I have gone in to examine and I have known the car. It is not like that. If I have known, then all these adornments should come along with that. That is called the Samyak Jnana. So, Satyena labhyas tapasa hyesha atma samyak jnanena brahmacharyena nityam. Brahmacharya. See, this brahmacharya is generally interpreted as celibacy, and also brahmacharya is the first ashrama for us also when we are given to studies. Now, whenever it was studies in our country, the school system was not like as it is now. It is all bookish studies now. It was not like that. In our country, because the civilization is very, very old, it is prehistoric civilization. We don't know how many thousands of years had passed, because if these Upanishads were written, at least Bhagavad Gita 5,000 and some odd years, these Upanishads have been much before that, and they also are saying this knowledge had been there. So how many thousands of years, nobody can conjecture. So such a long living civilization, they had devised this education system, the Gurukula system, because education is not bookish education. They realized this education has to be a full characteral education. Through education one must get refined, one must become liberal, the mind must get to higher and higher elevated level. So that cannot be had just through the education of the books. One must stay with first of all, the teacher must embody all the values and virtues. The teacher has to be almost like a knower. Even if he is not a knower, he has to be an ascetic Brahmana who has acquired all the qualities. So with such a teacher, the student will have to stay for about 12 years or so. So that is the occasion, completely the character of the student will be formed. So brahmacharya is not just celibacy, don't take it easy like that. Brahmacharya is a period where we learn and we get transformed in the company of the teacher. A teacher who embodies all the virtues, remaining with him, we automatically imbue all those virtues. So the complete characteral building that takes place during brahmacharya. So even the king's sons, that means the princes, used to study with the son of poor people also. They were all together learning in the Gurukula to develop such a character which will be able to take this world completely with full balance. That is, there won't be any too much of material imbalance, too much of material indulgence at the cost of the inner virtuous, inner characteral strength. So there was a complete balance of growth, that how to balance this material growth and the spiritual growth, they were being balanced by this Gurukula system. So brahmacharya was a period of study in the Gurukula where all these things, all these virtues had to be gained. So brahmacharyena nityam. Now brahmacharya is also, you can think of that celibacy when we say, actually it is focusing our awareness, an upward focus of our awareness. Because lower, when the awareness goes down in our body, we feel more of indulgence, and which results in sexual indulgence also. But if our awareness is constantly thinking of all these things of the soul, and so we will automatically feel that our focus of awareness go upward, elevated, at the head point here, or even beyond that also. We may feel something beyond that also. So it is an elevated awareness focus, which is actually the brahmacharya. In feeling wise, it will give that. If a person practices brahmacharya, his awareness will be always remaining in an elevated state. Let us chant the verse once more, otherwise we may lose track, we may forget the link. Satyena labhyastapasa yeshatma सम्यज्ञानेन ब्रह्मचर्येण नित्यम् अंतःशरीरे ज्योतिर्मयो हि शुभ्रो यं पश्यन्ति यतयः क्षीणदोषाः अंतःशरीरे ज्योतिर्मयो हि शुभ्रो यं पश्यन्ति यतयः क्षीणदोषाः. Yatayah is plural, it is coming from yati. Yati means generally sannyasins, or it can mean any disciplined person also. Yati means those who have undergone discipline, as I am saying that this yati means they are not slave to the worldly things, worldly situations. They have won over the worldly situations. They can remain self-seated. So even non-sannyasins also can be yati, and there is no limit to it. They can be yati at different levels. So yatayah kshinadoshaha yatayah pashyanti. These yatis who have become kshinadoshaha, that means whose doshas have decayed, doshas have been removed, have washed off. Now what is the dosha? Generally dosha means ragadvesha. Always the dosha is generally representing the ragadvesha in our mind. As I said, the world does not create any problem for us at all. All the affectation, all the disturbances we suffer from, it is because of the ragadvesha we have towards the world. If the ragadvesha is treated, or they are removed, then we will not be clinging to what we like and we will not be hating what we dislike. So the problem will be solved by treating our ragadvesha. So kshinadoshaha yatayaha means the yatis who have been freed of their ragadvesha. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran atmavasyair vidheyatma prasadam adhigachyati. Ragadvesha viyuktaihi tu vishayaih indriyaischaran atmavasyair vidheyatma prasadam adhigachyati. He says that one who interacts with all the sense objects but freed of ragadvesha viyuktaihi tu vishayan indriyaischaran, that with the indriyas, with his sense organs, he interacts with all the vishayas, all the objects, but freed of ragadvesha. What happens to him? Atmavasyair vidheyatma. Who is freed of ragadvesha? Who is atmavash? That means he is completely under the guidance of his real identity, the inner voice, the viveka buddhi. Atmavasya means viveka buddhi. Vidheyatma. Vidheyatma is not control, external control, that he is a very controlled person. He always controls his senses. No, it is not a control. Vidheyatma is a guidance from within, that he does whatever he does in tune with the fundamental harmony, in tune with the harmony of his soul. We can call it the rhythm of his soul. He is always in tune with the breathing of his soul, rhythm of his soul. Such a life he leads. So he doesn't have to have any external control at all. That harmony with the niyama he is following, the vidhi he is following, it is from internal, it is not set by outside controls at all. Atmavasya, that is why he is atmavasya. He is not under the rulership of the objects or objective situation. He is under the control of under the rulership of his own atma. So atmavasyair vidheyatma, what happens to him? Prasadam adhigachyati. He attains the placidity of the mind, which remains in all situations, whether it is suffering or happiness, everywhere the prasada never goes. So he says, yatayah kshinadoshaha. What do they see here? They are saying, yatayah kshinadoshaha pashyanti. What do they see? Antasharire jyotirmayo hi shubhro. Antasharire, deep within the body, What did they see? Jyotirmayaha, brilliant. Shubhra means white. But I remind you, so many times I have told in 2.2.10 also, he says, Tat Shubhram Jyotisham Jyotihi. Here we are not talking about the physical light at all. Jyotirmaya means brilliant. Immediately we will think that what they are seeing, Yataya Kshinadoshaha Yataya Pashyanti, what do they see? They see some light inside, which is white light, which is brilliant light. It is not physical brilliance that they are talking about, not physical white. Shubhra means there is no color fragmentation. There is no division of color, not multiple color. Multiplicity is not there. It is uniform. It is uniform. Like white light, it is uniform. Jyotirmaya, brilliance. The physical brilliance is only unless you have your consciousness, you will not know the physical, not know the brilliance of the sun also. The sun has to be revealed by our consciousness. So this consciousness which reveals everything, that is the ultimate Jyotihi. That is why they said in Kenopanishad as well as in Mundakopanishad also, that is the Jyotisham Jyotihi, which is the light of all lights. So that is not a physical light which reveals. Just as when you put some physical light, the darkness goes. When you discover the truth of your own immortal identity, all the thousands of years of darkness, they simply vanish. So what kind of Jyoti you will feel? It is not physical light, but is it not like light? Everything will become like thousand suns, it will become light. But it is not the physical light. It is the removal of the darkness of ignorance. So this Jyotirmayo hi Shubhra we are saying, but we should have the imagination to understand how much we are covered, how much we are suffering, not knowing that we are suffering. Actually we are relishing remaining ignorant. People don't want to get rid of it. But the Upanishads are only trying to point out that learn how much we are deep in darkness and what is that light we are talking about. Uttishtata jagrata prapya varan nibodhata shurasya dhara nishita duratya durgam padastat kavayo vadanti. Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad says, Yamaraja is telling Nachiketa, Uttishtata jagrata, get up, become awake, because even if you have got up, you are not awake. Awake to the truth, awake to your own real identity. Arise, awake. Uttishtata jagrata prapya varan nibodhata. Look for a vara. Vara means who has understood, who has realized this truth, who is there to help you, who is there to guide you. Prapya varan nibodhata. Nisheshena bodhata. Nibodhata. That means from him you have to realize without leaving even a residue of ignorance there. Until you become doubtless, you have to be with him and you have to learn. Prapya varan nibodhata kshurasya dhara nishita duratyaya. It is like the razor's edge, kshurasya dhara. Not only razor's edge, nishita, it has been sharpened. It's a sharpened razor's edge. Duratya durgam pathastat kavayo vadanti. Kavi means the Krantadarshis who can see the truth. They say that this is the path. This path is like the sharpened edge of a razor. It is very difficult to go across. Duratyaya. Not only going across, even walking on this is difficult. Durgam. Durgam pathastat. Why? Because everywhere there is so much of lucrative things, so much of attraction, so much of repulsion. How are we going to remain on that razor's edge which will take us, which demands freedom of the mind from all these attractions, repulsions, all this raga, dvesha. You have to be on that. We will not know where we are getting caught, where we are becoming slave to our ignorance, slave to our attraction, repulsion. So a guidance is necessary. That is how they say. So, Kshinadoshaha yatayaha pashyanti antasharire jyotirmayo hi shubhro. That although they are saying antasharire, actually we try to look within and we discover there. But when we discover it is not antasharire, the sharira also is part of the universe which is appearing in that consciousness, as I have said so many times. We should remember that also. But as we focus inside, they are saying that they see, pashyanti. What is that? Jyotirmayo hi shubhra. Actually, there is a great secret in it. We think that we will see like that. It is not like that. It is not something lying there which we will see. Truly speaking, what happens is that our mind undergoes this purificatory process. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. As we pursue knowledge, the whole being gets transformed. It becomes purer and purer and purer. So, actually we feel that Jyotirmayo hi Shubhra inside. That purity, that light, that we feel what our mind has become, what our inner being has become. It is not there is something is hidden and we go there and we see that it is there. It is not different from us. We ourselves undergo the transformation, and in that process we feel that Antah-sharire Jyotirmayo hi Shubhro Yam Pashyanti Yatah Kshina Doshaha. That is why this Kshina Dosha is important. Until we become Kshina Doshaha, we will not be able to feel it. How can we feel it? Because we still remain full of doshas. So we will not be able to feel that at all. So this purity is the most important point here. As Kathopanishad also said, that Tamakratuhu Pashyati Vita Shokaha Dhatu Prasadat Mahimanam Atmanaha. That all the Mahima of the Atma we are talking about, its unaffectedness, the source of the entire or substratum of the entire universe, that it is the light of the light, it is the power of the power, the prana of prana, all these things we are talking about the Atma, that is nothing different from the I we are using every day. But we are not able to realize because our elements of our being have not got purified. He says, Tam akratuhu pashyati vita shokaha. He sees when he becomes freed of the desires, he becomes freed of shoka also, grief also, and then he sees dhatu prasadat mahimanam atmanaha. All this glory of the Atma he sees by the elements of his being getting purified. Dhatu prasadat. When all the elements of our being becomes placid, then the placidity we feel, we start feeling the mahima of the Atma. So here it is extremely important, it's a great secret that when we are discussing, we are saying like this, that Antah-sharire Jyotirmayo hi Shubhro Yam Pashyanti Yataya Kshina Doshaha. That is as if we are saying within, looking within, and we are seeing that Jyotihi inside. Actually our mind, our emotions, our whole inner being, that undergoes transformation, purification, and finally that becomes like this is the truth. Initially it may happen only in dhyana, that when we are in contemplative meditative state, in that we will discover it. So that is why this description is given. It may, at that time you may think that I have seen that there when I come out, because when we come out we will miss it. But slowly it cannot remain only in the dhyana, because that is our immortal identity, permanent, that is the only permanent thing. So it cannot remain only in the state of dhyana and outside it will not be there, it will be missing. Then we have not attained that. So through the pursuit of knowledge, through all these qualities we have been telling, the whole being has to undergo a complete transformation when it becomes always with us. That is how it happens in Kshina Doshaha. That is why our Shastras say that a pure mind itself is the soul. That soul, whatever it is, how are we knowing? Finally, although we say that it cannot be attained by mind, but in another place it will say, Chetasa Veditabhyaha, that it has to be known by the mind, by the purified mind. When the mind becomes completely fused in this Advaya knowledge, then that mind realizes this truth. That is how the pure mind becomes the soul. Otherwise, what is the soul for us? The soul consciousness is consciousness. There is no change in that at all. The soul does not need any sadhana. There cannot be any sadhana. It never changes. No change can be conceived of it because it is not an object. What changes is our mind, our being, our emotions, our intelligence, our mindset. They undergo the change, and they, as it gets transformed, slowly it starts becoming more and more and more and more like the soul. It becomes the soul. That is why in Kathopanishad it is said, Yathodakam shuddhe shuddham asiktam tadrigeva bhavati evam muner vijanata atma bhavati Gautama. O Gautama, O Nachiketa. He belonged to the Gautama Vamsha. So Yamaraja is calling Nachiketa as Gautama. O Gautama, Yathodakam shuddhe shuddham asiktam tadrigeva bhavati. When you pour pure water in a lake of pure water or a vessel of pure water, in a lake of pure water, you pour pure water. Can you locate the water you have poured inside? It has got merged in that pure water. The water we are pouring, can we distinguish anymore when you have poured into the pure water? It gets merged there. He says, Yathodakam shuddhe shuddham, that is shuddha water poured in shuddha water. Asiktam tadrigeva bhavati, tadrigeva bhavati. Yathodakam shuddhe shuddham asiktam tadrigeva bhavati. Evam muner vijanata, evam vijanataha munehe atma. A muni, a thoughtful person who has realized his soul, vijanatah munehe atma, who has become a knower, his atma, evam bhavati. His atma means his identity, his I, that gets merged in that Paramatma or Brahman or that ocean of consciousness. You cannot distinguish anymore that this is the Jiva and this is the Atma, nothing like that. He realizes his real identity, the immortal identity. That is how they describe. Satyena labhyastapasa yeshatma samyajnanena brahmacharyena nityam antasharire jyotirmayo hi shubhro yam pashyanti yatayah kshina doshaha. Let us go to the next verse. Satyameva jayate nanritam Satyena pantha vitato devayanaha Yenakramantrishayo hyaptakamaha Yatra tat satyasya paramam nidhanam. Satyam eva jayate na anritam. See, the ritam means also truth. It is the truth, manifest truth generally. Anritam means na ritam, means the reverse of truth. That means falsehood. He says, Satyam eva jayate. That means truth alone wins. Na anritam. That means the falsehood never. You must be knowing that this is our motto in our country. After independence, we have taken from Mundakopanishad the motto, Satyam eva jayate. That is our motto. Now here, Satyam eva jayate, as I said, Satyam is not just the usual moral Satya, but it is the ultimate truth. Satyam eva jayate na nritam. Satyena pantha vitato devayanaha. That the devayanaha is actually a path which has been discussed in the Karma Kanda in various ways, but here in Vedanta, particularly in this Upanishad here, we will interpret devayanaha as the divine path of light. He said, Satyena pantha vitato devayanaha, devayanaha vitataha, Satyena vitataha. That is, the divine path of light is laid with truth and truth alone. Yena akramanti rishayaha, yena aptakamaha rishayaha hi akramanti. Akramanti, it is akramana is often thought of as attacking. Here it is not that. Krama means sequence. Akrama means ascending in sequence. They gradually ascend. Apta kama rishayaha akramanti. They ascend by which? Yena. Yena means that path they are talking about. By which the apta kama rishis, they ascend. Ascend to what? Yatra tat satyasya paramam nidhanam. Where the ultimate treasure of truth is kept. See, here also, the path also is satya. As I said, that knowledge, the path also is jnana. And finally, walking that path, what you are getting is also jnana. You are becoming jnana.